So dear devotees, we've come together and maybe more will join us, but let us first give our obeisances to each other as we are gathered today. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And Jai Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj ki Jai, Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj ki Jai, and Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai, Shri Rupanuga Guru Bhaga ki Jai. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And Jai, most merciful Shriman Mahaprabhu, Shri Gauranga Sundar ki Jai. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Gaura Tuje Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are having another best day in Krishna consciousness. Because we're coming together to hear about Krishna, be with the devotees, try to render some service with the devotees, and to remember not only about Krishna, but even more important but remembering about his servants and his servants' servants and his servants' servants, and remembering our prayer that we may be accepted as a servant of 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 the Supreme Lord. Mahaprabhu himself gave this declaration or made this statement. He said, I'm not a Brahmana, etc. I'm not a sannyasi, etc. But only I identify myself as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. So that we will aspire for such a position, that is even audacity. If Krishna himself coming as Mahaprabhu, then he's expressing this mood in his internal nature, in revealing his internal nature. Hare Krishna. Oh my goodness, Gurudev's face just came to us, giving us a sidelong glance. Ajita Krishna Dandavat. Now, is that Gurudev's glance of approval, of disapproval, or of simply observing?
Yes. Dandavat Maharaj, good to see you.
Dandavat, good to see you too, or good to see Gurudev coming on our screen.
Yes.
I wonder if I can move Gurudev to the top so he's not beneath us. Okay, oops. I've moved Gurudev to the top of the screen. Hare Krishna. Dandavat and Dandavat to Bhagavan Das Prabhu, also joined us just now. Big welcome. Dandavat. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, and to Priyanana also joined us in Thailand. And by the way, your back to basics items means Praneshwari and everybody's, your plural, then not only being utilized on the back to basics course, but I find them turning up from other devotees, sending me the file of the word-by-word translation of the Vandanam and of the Vandeham verse, and also another file I was sent, and it was a file of the BBC's Vandana, the Omagyan and Vanchakalpa. So devotees have sent to me this file. which I thought, oh, this looks very familiar. And then I
The
saw it's
mini
a
Vandana Maharaj.
back to basics file is coming in a full loop. And I took it as a good sign that, yes, we always have to revise our word for word. Hare Krishna. All right, so we seem to have had a lot of gatherings where I've been speaking too much and you've been speaking too little. And I believe last time we said we will give some opportunity to someone who didn't speak last time, and Praneshri Devi. I hope you have a little note more than I have a little note. I remember us saying that, but I don't remember who it was who didn't speak so much.
We mentioned several, but you, not last time, but previously, you invited Jaidev and Chintamani, especially Jaidev because he has been very, very quiet in the background.
Aha. Okay, thank you very much for that reminder. And so is Jayadev there with you? And is he available, Chintamani Devidasi? I mean, we see your name, but we know that Jayadev goes by your alias sometimes.
Dandavad Maharaj, no, he's not with me currently. I'm out babysitting for a friend, but I'm sure he'll be with us soon because he texted me to remind me it was happening tonight. He wrote Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudana Maharaj Ki Jai in the text about an hour ago.
Okay, well, instead of a Jai, I can give an oh dear. But there we are. Okay, so if he does come, please let us know, and we'll be happy to hear a few words from him. And now we have Ekādaśī coming. I mean Ekādaśī the day, but we have Ekādaśī the person, Ekādaśī Devi with us also. But we have Ekādaśī coming. It is Krishna's day, and there are some days that we take for granted. But yesterday here we have some sincere seekers. Here's Jayadev coming. We had some sincere seekers who have come to the temple here a few times, and yesterday we were saying, oh wait, we are still in the month of Kartik, and they said, yes, we know, that's why we've come. We're trying to do something extra for Kartik, which was very sweet because they're very new to Krishna consciousness, and we did explain about Kartik on a previous time. And then we just mentioned about Ekādaśī, because we were seeing which day was Ekādaśī for the local calendar in Italy. And they hadn't heard about Ekādaśī and were interested to hear. And so they're trying to follow the practices. And you see, we take these things like very normally. We just think, oh, it's Ekādaśī, so we won't, oh no, that day we won't be able to have our grains or whatever it may be, especially if you're Bengali and very accustomed to having large amounts of grains, a mountain of rice on the plate. When you're accustomed to that quantity of grain, to have a day without grain, then it is some austerity. But we tend to overlook sometimes the significance of Ekādaśī. And yesterday, it struck me while talking to them about Ekādaśī, like how sincere and simple these devotees were, that they're, I mean, aspiring devotees were, that they're hearing about Ekādaśī. And oh, there's a day for Krishna, a special day for Krishna, once every 2 weeks, and that day we minimize things for ourselves and do more for Krishna. And then seeing their enthusiasm, we're reminded ourselves, yes, we really must try to keep Ekādaśī as Krishna's day and not the focus on the fact that, oh, we can't eat our favorite rice crackers and things on this day. So I could maybe ask to somebody, would any of you like to make a comment about Ekādaśī? The day of Ekādaśī, some thought about Ekādaśī.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes.
Well, I've always been told that on Ekādaśī we should increase our service and go to the temple, especially on that day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right, right. And a devotee was speaking recently online and was saying that on Ekādaśī, Krishna is more hungry for pleasure. And we are trying to serve Krishna, give him some pleasure on that day and sacrifice our own pleasure.
Right, yes.
For him.
Yep, this is the theme of Ekādaśī indeed. And in our earlier life, means when we were in ISKCON, we were always taught that on Ekādaśī that we should be chanting 24 rounds a day instead of 16 to try to increase our seva. And the principle was exactly this, to increase our seva. So for those of you who are chanting 16 rounds, then maybe this Ekādaśī, you have an opportunity to chant more rounds, but we can say for everybody to try to chant an extra. But the principle of Ekādaśī, and in Navadip, that the principle was quite clear, there's no breakfast. And somehow, when there is no breakfast, you do get more of an impetus, that missing time that you're spending having breakfast, and okay, we're going to get straight into the seva mood of the duties that need to be done that day. And I can say in Navadip, very often we didn't really know it was Ekādaśī until we went for breakfast. Then they weren't feeding us. Oh, it's Ekādaśī today. Which is one big advantage of living in a temple and just relying on the mercy of Krishna, prasadam, coming through the devotees. Because we only take what's coming to us from the temple. And so on Ekādaśī, we can't miss Ekādaśī because we're in the temple. Whereas when we're in our homes or around the world, we have to be more conscious of the date. Kumkum Devidasi, did you hear anything from Srila Prabhupada about Ekādaśī?
Dandavat Maharaj, we only heard about fasting from grains, and it was not even very strict. And I can't say that while I was still in ISKCON, I ever heard. It was only when I came to hear from Srila Gurudev that I started hearing the emphasis being on increasing our service. And so it was always about chanting more. But I personally have a lot of attention for Ekādaśī, because it was the very first day I ever went to a temple, which I remember because as soon as I walked up, there was a lady standing outside and she greeted me, and without even stopping for a breath, she said everything she knew about Ekādaśī. And she said that she was chanting 16 rounds today. Usually she chanted 8 rounds, but today she's chanting 16 because it's Ekādaśī. And the devotees inside are chanting 25 because it's Ekādaśī, and they usually chant 16. And I had no idea what she was talking about, but the way she explained it seemed so pertinent. It seemed so important. Like I should write this down. I should never forget this. Later, Shobhana Krishna Prabhu one time calculated my birth date for me and told me I was born on an Ekādaśī too. So I have this feeling that I should take it quite seriously, especially the part about increasing service.
Jai, so you know the day you first came to the temple. Oh, well, there's no grains, so then that's one way to remember it. And Srila Gurudev came to the temple also, not on Ekādaśī, but also on a fasting day.
Yeah.
It was Nrsimha Chaturasi, and he remembers it, that he's coming on a day. Then there's no prasadam. That was not only fasting from breakfast, it was fasting from lunch as well, because Nrsimha Chaturasi, the fast goes through until Nrsimhadev appears, which means the sun set and moon rise. And even then, it is without grain. So Gurudev, he remembered. So in a similar way, you're remembering you came on Ekādaśī. I have no idea what day I came.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
while we're talking, Kumkum Devī was talking, you know how the Chinese WeChat group, they always send messages. It's mostly a preaching going on, devotees sharing some realizations. But just now, while Kumkum Devī was talking about the Ekādaśī, a message just popped up, you know how it is, from Indumukhi Devī. And by some reason, it was in English. And it said, stay hungry. Somehow, it's all interconnected. Maybe they're talking about the Ekādaśī, they're preparing for Ekādaśī.
Yeah,
but what comes to mind, actually, what we heard from Kumkum Devī, this is what we got in ISKCON, that kind of impression. There was no explanation so much about why are we fasting. We were told to fast, not to take certain things and increase our chanting during that time. But really, it's only when we started listening to Srila Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, we understood what kind of day it is. And in ISKCON, we also got explanations from the Vedic scriptures. But yesterday, one Vaishnava reminded us the words of Srila Gurudev. If we're just to follow Vedic scriptures, rules and regulations in Vedas, we will never get bhakti. I don't know who that Vaishnava was.
it was Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj.
Yes, quoted, but there's another Vaishnava who quoted it. Everything comes to us by the grace of the Vaishnava, including the quotes of the great personalities. So that was mentioned, and I remember in ISKCON, every Ekādaśī would come with a long explanation of what you can get if you do that. Like on this particular Ekādaśī, if you observe the fast, observe the vrata, you can get a good son, a good daughter, material riches, you will become successful in business or anything else, a girlfriend or a boyfriend, husband or a wife. All those things are promised if we are to follow some Vedic principles, Vedic injunctions. But Srila Guru Maharaj, and I believe it's a part of the video that still exists, and I got it from Madhusudan Maharaj. He briefly explains, a devotee is asking, what is the meaning of Ekādaśī? What is the purpose of us following that? And Guru Maharaj very sweetly explains that. And he mentions there are different reasons, external reasons for us to follow. Planetary, what do you call them? A certain position of the planets increases the capacity, our desire to enjoy. So we may over-enjoy, we may even more entangle in material life. That's one consideration. But then Guru Maharaj concluded that explanation with a very sweet revelation, saying that actually Krishna, by his divine will, he is also a subject of the influence of those planets. So during that day, in particular, he also feeling increased desire to enjoy. So what happens when Krishna wants to enjoy more? Radharani, not doubles, not triples, but infinitely multiply her efforts to satisfy Krishna's enjoyment capacity during that particular time, increased capacity. And she is recruiting her team to help her to do that. So that was given by Srila Guru Maharaj, that kind of perspective. Why are we following Ekādaśī? We are, our goal is Radha Dasyam, as expressed by our Guru Varga. We hear so many things from Rupa Goswami, especially from Raghunath Das Goswami. This is our Ishta Devata. She is the worshipable deity of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Mahaprabhu. So anyone who is aspiring to be a servitor of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani would volunteer immediately, give himself or herself fully in the service to Krishna under her guidance, to be particular under Lalita and Shri Rupa guidance. So this is the time for us to remember that. We're trying to be useful in that kind of service. So Srila Guru Maharaj points out, this is why, this is actually the main reason. The others are all external. We don't have to think about them so much. But our main reason, we're trying to assist Radharani in that particular time of increased desire of Krishna. We need more capacity to serve. Krishna needs more enjoyment to be supplied. So this is our seva, our good opportunity, our lucky stars on this day to participate in that kind of seva. And as we heard so many times, the necessity, the greatest necessity of seva gives a greater remuneration for that. Because really that is the time. And we're so fortunate. And again, where did that come from? Our Guru Varga. Otherwise, we will be following Ekādaśī thinking, oh, I will get this, a longer life, a better health, a bigger house, or a smaller house, who is unable to take care of the bigger house. Get some our desires fulfillment instead of thinking. You can see how Guru Maharaj, he can explain anything and everything in connection to Radha Dasya. Even the churning of milk ocean, that was mind-blowing when I heard Guru Maharaj's explanation of that. Churning of a milk ocean. How can you relate that to Madhuri Rasa, to divine service of Srimati Radharani? Only Guru Maharaj can do that. So that is my contribution to the Ekādaśī section.
Right, very beautiful.
And just to mention, on one, maybe on numerous occasions, the Madhusudana Maharaj should be the witness of all of that, or at least you heard it from Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. How there was an important seva once, and brahmacharis will go somewhere for something very important. You remember that story? And it was Ekādaśī. And Guru Maharaj ordered them to have some dal, so that they have some power, some energy to execute that seva. So it's not about eating or not eating things. It's about being useful in seva. And when the necessity is great, the external considerations are out. But again, we should not use that for ourselves to justify our desire or our reasons not to fast. That came from Guru Maharaj. The brahmacharis were happy to follow, they're happy to fast, but Guru Maharaj forced them. You have some energy food, have some grains, because that seva is very important. And seva is of the highest priority during the Ekādaśī time.
From my own experience, I can say that I've heard about this second-hand and not first-hand. And but I've heard about this incident and maybe a couple of incidents. But I can say from my first-hand experience that Guru Maharaj was strict that we must follow Ekādaśī. And Gurudev was strict that we must follow Ekādaśī. And the why part, that's another matter. I mean, I don't know strictly the why part, but I have seen both from Guru Maharaj and Gurudev that they disapproved when devotees did not follow Ekādaśī properly in the sense of not taking grains. And but there is the injunction. There is
exceptional circumstances
that what the Brahmana or the Guru wish you to take. There is that exception. But as Paramananda said, not to misuse that exception. And really, who is the person who's going to tell to us, oh, yes, you eat grains. Guru Maharaj and Gurudev can say this. But seeing their nature, we see actually, really, that was an exception, and they were quite strong to follow it. And including one of our dear devotees who was traveling on Ekādaśī day with his wife and 2 children who were not devotees, and they were coming to Gurudev in Calcutta. Gurudev was in Dum Dum Park, our temple where he stayed in Calcutta, and he arrived in the morning, maybe 10 o'clock or 10:30, like mid-morning with his family. And then, as Gurudev is, when devotees come to him, he wants that they have some accommodation and that they have some prasadam. And Gurudev kind of apologized and said, oh, today is Ekādaśī, we don't have anything immediately to give you, but soon will be lunch. And then the devotee kind of quite just easily said, oh, Gurudev, we were traveling, so, and I was with the family, so I didn't follow Ekādaśī because of our traveling today. And Gurudev clearly disapproved. I mean, he strongly, but in Gurudev's affectionate way, but said, no, Prabhu, you must follow Ekādaśī. Yes, you are with your wife and children, but you must follow Ekādaśī. And that's Mohanananda Prabhu. You can ask him firsthand, because we tend to remember our chastisements that we get. And so He won't mind that I mention this chastisement. Maybe some of the other chastisements, and I won't.
You've reminded me of one funny incident. When I was in London in 1999 for 1 week with Srila Gurudev, and at the end of the week, it was Ekādaśī, the end of my travel week. So I was, the day before, I was looking at my travel schedule and thinking I needed to be very strict. And I noticed that when I left London, it would not quite be time to break Ekādaśī yet. But when I got over the US airspace, it would still be Ekādaśī. So what to do? And Janardhan Maharaj was there. So I took this to him and he said, oh, that's easy. You just, and when he thought about it, he stopped and he said, let's ask Gurudev. And so we went to Gurudev and explained it to him. And he just said, oh, don't even think about it. And I'm still not entirely sure which way he meant. But I think I took 1 grain somewhere over the Atlantic. So what to do?
Right, these are exceptional circumstances. We do face them, or used to face them again and again. And Gurudev also faced them again and again. But in that circumstance, it is completely abnormal. And so as long as we honor Ekādaśī, then we basically doing the best, making the best of the situation. And again, it's honoring the day. And while on a flight, it's a great place for reading and chanting.
Yes.
I mean, really it is. It's a great place for reading and chanting. And then when you land, sometimes you kind of forget where was I going to? You've been lost in Chaitanya Charitamrita and lost in some Leela. And then, oh, now where am I? I remember I actually landed, and I remember the airport, landed in one place, and it was a long flight. Came off the flight, and the immigration officer said, where have you come from? Where have I come from? Yes, just trying to think where I come from. You have to be on the ball when you go through the immigration. Hare Krishna.
Also, there is a saying by one of the great Vaishnavas, Hey Mahaprayashite, Hey Prabhuranama. So if anything, if any atonement we have to do, take the shelter of the holy name.
That also, take shelter of the holy name. And atonement, there are 1 or 2 incidences that took place, and Guru Maharaj gave atonement for one accident incident. It wasn't a deliberate sin, as it were, but one incident happened. And Gurudev gave the instruction, so on Ekādaśī is coming up, then you fast for that full day until evening time, and then you can break your fast with non-grains. That happens. So we can also consider that if we feel something is mishap in seva or something, we can think, okay, I can take shelter of the holy name, always the holy name, take shelter of Guru and Vaishnava, and also take that extra shelter of Ekādaśī. We've seen that example. And when we're with devotees, we really don't know, we are not thinking where we are. So everywhere is, we can't say Vaikuntha, but everywhere is our Chaitanya. We can say everywhere is Chaitanya Saraswat Mat of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. And really, wherever we are on the planet, and like now, we're not even, how do we even define we're on the planet? I mean, very often with the Zooms, we actually go to somewhere. We go to a temple, so we feel like everybody's come together in one temple. But here we are actually, on Zoom, meeting where? In the ether. We're not going to say like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, wandering in the ether, wandering in the universe while chanting his japa. But it is an interesting addition to the idea that we've got many oases, plural, oases, not sure, oases is around the world in the form of ashrams and temples. but we also have this oasis shelter of the devotees, Harikatha, etc. Anyhow, this was something from yesterday evening, seeing the enthusiasm of somebody hearing about Ekādaśī for the first time, like we heard from Kumkum, hearing about Ekādaśī for the first time. And she thinks it's so valuable, she wants to write it down. Say, oh, I should make a note of this and write it down. And it is the only day in the calendar. Most of you know this, but for Leela Shakti Devirasi and maybe one or two others, it is the only day in the calendar where Gurudeva asked that it be calculated for the location, the specific locations where one is around the world, rather than for Navadip. The other days in the calendar, we are all following the calendar of Navadip by Gurudev's instruction. But Ekādaśī has its special value, special place, and this way the local calculation is made, and it's as an addendum, if you like, to our temple calendar. And the list of Ekādaśī dates, it is at this URL. I can put into the chat box, or maybe already. I know Praneshri is very efficient.
It's for Brazil and for California, because I know both of them may be needed. And Maharaj, to remind you that Jaidev is already with us.
Okay, very good. And I got an interesting word which may not be in the dictionary. Dang, was today Ekādaśī? No, it wasn't. Everything is good. So if we, instead of dang, we can have ding dong and say that, I think, when is Ekādaśī in America, Praneshri? It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Monday or Sunday?
Sunday, sorry, Sunday.
Okay, Sunday.
Sunday the 14th, yeah.
All right. And in South Africa, it's Monday. Yeah, here is Monday also. Oh yes, Praneshri, tomorrow. Oh, many messages in Chintamani. Ah, thanks, I need an Ekādaśī accountability buddy. Yes, California. Oh my goodness. And from the host to everyone, welcome. Please identify. Oh, yes. Yes, very good. And Praneshri, Srila Jagadananda Pandit. Aha. And Jagadananda Pandit was with Mahaprabhu constantly. And he wrote, that I know of, just one book. And so we can think that this book, and we'll not only think it, we know Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, they said this book is very important for us. And we do have in English our translation, our Chaitanya Saraswati translation. So Sri Ekādaśī. So I'm reading here from Jagadananda Pandit's book, Prema Vivata, published from the temple. Quote, everyone should devoutly honor and properly perform the practices of devotion. Then they will attain the grace of Bhakti Devi. So reject the association of non-devotees and follow the Ekādaśī rite by following the rite of chanting the name. Then your observance of Ekādaśī will be successful. Understand within your heart that honoring Prasad and honoring the day of the Lord never conflict. And Jayadev, okay, about having missed Ekādaśī. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes, so Jayadev Prabhu, we've been awaiting your arrival. We've come begging at your door for a Harikatha Krishna conscious contribution in dollars or rupees, or we were thinking in the form of Harikatha.
Oh dear. Again, I'm just so grateful for these bi-weekly kathas, for these meetings. I missed the last one, but that night at midnight, I woke up and watched it. And every time I'm just so moved and touched by everyone's shares and by the whole thing. It really sustains me, and I'm just so grateful. And I don't have anything exalted to say other than that. Just my absolute gratitude and dependence on these bi-weekly meetings. So thank you so much, everyone who comes here.
Right. Well, thank you for your words, which are for our encouragement for us all to keep on going in this world. And it's true, a short time of remembrance keeps us on track. And so this is why we have the temple programs established by Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. Everybody cannot follow. We know that not only everybody, every temple cannot follow the full standard that was taking place in Navadip. But you see, a couple of times a week we come together and discuss things, and it keeps the batteries going. But where possible, we try to make our daily life with that morning and evening, as Kumkum said, the sandwich of a morning program, evening program, and full savor in the middle. So it's a thick sandwich.
Maharaj,
You can't put air in a sandwich. You can't put nothing in a sandwich. You have to put something substantial in the sandwich, and that is savor. Yes, Praneshri Devi.
Maharaj, the display of Jaidev, can you please tell us about this Didi, especially for Lila Shakti?
Can we especially tell about what? This?
About the deity on the display of Jaidev.
The deity.
Who is this deity on the display of Jaidev?
The deity on Jaidev's thumbnail
Display.
logo.
Yes.
Oh yes. So who can say something about this deity? All of you can say something about this deity. I think Praneshri Devidasi should say something about this deity.
No, Maharaj, we want to hear from you. We want your instructions.
Are Baba. Not instruction, but we can say what we've heard. And I can also say that, I can say too about the first time that I had darshan of this deity, that I mean, darshan is also a high word, but that I came before this deity. But this is the deity of Gauranga, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that was worshipped, and it is the deity confirmed by Guru Maharaj, that it was worshipped by Viṣṇu Priyā, the wife of Nimai Pandit, Gauranga Sundar. After Nimai Pandit went and took sannyas, then with sannyas he left home, he left his young wife Viṣṇu Priyā, but left her in the care of Sachi Mata and the devotees of Navadip. They took good care of her, of course, protected. But he left his young wife, and in her dedication, then she had a deity made in due course of time of Gauranga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And first try, then commissioned a deity, but cannot accept it. Or this is not my Gauranga. Second try, cannot accept. Third deity that was made. Then when she came in front of the deity, then immediately she became very shy, and she covered her face as the traditional Vedic and Hindu way of like humility in front of the husband. And then from that time, then this deity, then she installed, and there she worshipped, here she worshipped Mahaprabhu, this deity of Mahaprabhu. So this is the deity of Gauranga Sundar. Oh, I don't know what I clicked, Praneshwari. I clicked something automatically. This is the deity worshipped by Viṣṇu Priyā. So this is one of those very special deities when we think, well, you know, we are coming from the Western world and we are learning, or we're trying to adopt and understand that Krishna really is in the deity, that the deity really is Krishna. And in this case, the deity really is Gauranga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so when we see that Viṣṇu Priyā worship the deity, then we must have some like extra inspiration and thought about the reality of deity worship as opposed to idolatry worship, by the way, which Guru Maharaj and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, yes, they all make a strong distinction. We are not worshipping idols, we're worshipping the Lord, and the Lord can manifest in different ways, and the scriptures say that he can manifest in the deity form, and even describes that what is the deity? The deity is what has been revealed. When the Lord has revealed himself to someone, then they are then able to create a form, make a form, and invite the Lord to come there, so that we can all share, we can all have that opportunity to worship the Lord who has revealed himself to the great souls. So what to speak of Viṣṇu Priyā, the wife of Gauranga Sundara. Not only a revelation, but she lived with him, he is her husband. And then she gave the direction to make this deity. And this deity is worshipped in almost the center of Navadip. When we go to Navadip from our Chaitanya Saraswati Mat of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, then we actually go through the center. And then it's 2 turnings on the left after the center. It's a narrow little road, you can easily miss it. To the second turning on the left after Paramatala, the very central market, and a big tree, tala, big tree in the center, then straight through, then the second turning on the left. All the roads are small in Navadip, everybody knows that, but this second road on the left is small, whatever that will be. In Bahasa Malayu, if you want to say something, give extra stress, you say it twice. So as far as I know, I was in Malaysia for some time, but small. And a photograph, a picture of this deity, as we are seeing here, but a picture of this deity is on the altar and has been on the altar in Navadip ever since we first went there. And that means 1982 when I first went there. So this picture, or this deity's picture, so the deity in picture form is on the altar in Navadip of Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj's altar, Gurudev's altar there in Navadip. So very special for us. And the first time that I came to this deity, I can say that in the English edition of the book, Golden Volcano of Divine Love, I believe it's that book. This photograph, or the deity's photograph, is in there. It's printed in that book. And I remember I used to chant japa sometimes with this page open of the book, and thinking, oh, okay, I'm before the deity and of Viṣṇu Priyā's Mahaprabhu, and thinking, how amazing this is that her deity exists. And I used to chant japa sometimes with the picture and have that picture open in the book, and like as a, not exactly an altar, but in a special place. And not only chanting japa, but that picture, I remember, did strike me. And without knowing where the deity was or anything. And then this was when I was doing book distribution. So I was in Malaysia, talking about Malaysia. And then I came to India for maybe Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, for one of the festivals. And just, we're not going anywhere unless a service. When we come to Navadip, to the temple, we are in the temple. But one of our sannyasis, famous sannyasi, Sagar Maharaj, he needed to go to a doctor. He telephoned, he had an appointment to go to the doctor in the evening. So it was, anyway, it was the early evening, the end of the day, early evening. And I said, well, would you like me to go with you? And then Sagarmaraj, he said, yes, it says in the scripture and he gave a quote because he is able to quote lots of things. He says, you should not go to the doctor alone. And it gave some verse which gives a few things where you should go with somebody. So you should not go to the doctor alone. So anyway, so I thought, okay, then he would like me to go. So I went with him, and we went on a rickshaw from the land of nectar, which is, anyway, it's a kilometer. That's one japa round and a bit away from Navadip town, from our temple. So we went from there to the doctor. Went to the doctor wasn't at his clinic. We went to his house, and then his wife said, oh, he'll be at the clinic. He got a little delayed. Just go there and wait. So we went there, and we were waiting on the side of the road, and a little gentle rain, not heavy rain. So we were under a shelter just on the side of the road. And then we're standing there, and we heard like just a very sweet but strong, loud kirtan. Obviously, many people, one person, Madanga, our Mahaprabhu style kirtan taking place. And so we're standing there and we think, okay, we can go to the kirtan. Let's see who's singing. And then it's just quite a narrow entrance. We just like, where's the sound coming from? So we hear the kirtan, and we just went a little bit along the street. And it's not a big entrance. It looks like almost like an ordinary doorway. And then we just said, oh, and then we kind of went in, and then we said, can we come in? And then somebody's there near the door, said, yes. So we went in there, and there was this deity. It opened out, going through a small, humble doorway. It opens out into a Nat Mandir, and then a gap, and then the temple part. And there is this Viṣṇu Priyā Mahaprabhu there on the altar. So this was like the first darshan, the first time coming to the deity. We're not searching him out. And I really felt that, okay, this was the grace of Gauranga, giving us the opportunity to have his darshan, because we wouldn't have otherwise like gone on pilgrimage, or as it were. In Navadip, we did not do that except at Gaura Purnima time with all the devotees. And sometimes if somebody is coming and they won't have a chance to go on the Gaura Purnima Parikrama, then somebody would take them on pilgrimage, but it wouldn't be me, because we were very much in the temple, doing the temple seva in the temple. And only like rare occasions we'd go to somewhere. Hare Krishna. Anyway, thank you for the question about this deity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Sundar, as worshipped by Viṣṇu Priyā. And I probably missed some things out, but what I can say is that it is confirmed from Guru Maharaj that this is that deity, the same deity. And many things, we can hear many things everywhere, but in Navadip, in Vrindavan, there are many stories which have come up over the years. And so it is good to verify anything that we may hear, if we hear from other places, etc. So it is good to verify. And Guru Maharaj verified that this is indeed the deity. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, we also hear from Srila Goswami Maharaj, how he went to see Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj said, Maharaj, you must go and see Viṣṇu Priyā Deity. And he said, Maharaj, it is the most beautiful. You will not find more beautiful deity of Mahaprabhu anywhere in the world. It is the most beautiful deity. So that was also shared by Srila Goswami Maharaj. And really it is. And just like Srila Gurudev said, that the most beautiful deity of Nityananda is in Virachandrapur, Ekachakra, the Hadai Pandit's house. So these two the original deities. They are the most beautiful expressions of that Vigraha form of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda.
Hare Krishna, wonderful. And by the way, since then, during the Gaurapanima time when we do go on parikrama, then we've been in some huge, like, kirtans, which we're reminded of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it says that the sound of the kirtan went through to the very edge of the universe. You know, this kind of kirtan taking place in that temple. And physically speaking, the acoustics do amplify, like whatever sound, whatever kirtan is there. So it's actually a wonderful temple, and the space, and you get the Bengali drummers mixed in with more recently mixed in with the Venezuelan drummers, etc. And then, my goodness, we can get a grand kirtan going inside that temple, and in front of this Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And also there are wooden shoes, which Guru Maharaj says, and they say that these are the shoes of Mahaprabhu. And when he came back to Navadip after more than 5 years after taking sannyas, then it said that you can go back to your hometown once after such a length of time. And he did. He came back from Puri to Navadip. And he came to the perimeter of his house, his former house, the house of Sachimata and his home. And there he left his shoes there for Viṣṇu Priyā. So it is told that those are his shoes. Now, I believe, covered with some silver, perhaps, silver filigree to protect them. But the pujari happily brings them out for darshan too. So everything is very special in connection with the Lord. And you see, it's only a few months since the Lord passed away, and some of his paraphernalia existing like that. Thank you. Whose question was that? Jayadev? No. Anyhow?
Praneshwari.
Praneshwari's question for the benefit
Maharaj,
of Leela Shakti and maybe others.
all of us, because we cannot get tired of listening to that. The photo is in the chat, Maharaj.
The photo is in the chat. Original deity of Nimai. Govinda, Govinda. Click, click, click. Ah, yes. This is the photo from the book. Wonderful. Yes, anything to add by anybody? And just like we had that happy experience with the enthusiasts to hear about Ekādaśī yesterday. So when people are coming, it's a time for us to refresh our own enthusiasm of coming across so many things, including the Maha Mantra. Don't forget about, hearing about the Maha Mantra and its glories, and thinking, why is this kept a secret? Why nobody taught us these things? And so today, we know maybe Leela Shakti, she doesn't know about this deity, but it's a time for us to also remind ourselves about this deity, other deities. And by the way, very similarly, I feel about, this is my experience, I feel about the deities in Navadip of Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar, worshipped and established by Guru Maharaj. These deities also, when we are making the transition from Western brain to the devotional, the Vaishnava brain or the Vaishnava consciousness, Krishna consciousness, when we're making that transition, then also feeling that if the deity is a deity anywhere, the deity, here is Mahaprabhu, here is Radha Krishna. You used to feel like this very much in Navadvip, and doing the parikramas, very happily doing the parikramas, with each step trying to be conscious. Yes, we're doing parikrama of the Lord, Radha Krishna, and of Gauranga, and here in Navadvip. And by the way, our traditional parikrama is 4 times around. And there is something about 3 times around. Some do 3 times around, but that is a recommend. I've heard, okay, we may have to do some research, but basically the 3 times around is like a Vedic Vidimag approach. And specifically, Gurudev told specifically that the 3 times around, it is for the worship when we're trying to get something, like, oh, we're worshiping the Lord to get something. This kind of approach to the Lord, which is maybe in the beginning stage, we think we'll worship the Lord because I want to get this, I want, whatever it may be, good health, this, that, and the other. So the 3 times is given for this Vidimag, and to break that, so we are not following the Vidimag, we are not thinking that we are circumambulating the Lord to get anything. We're not doing business with the Lord. We're not trying to make him our servant. So this way, 4 times around, and even it is mentioned somewhere that instead of doing 3, then the Vaishnavas do 3.5 or 4. And I remember thinking, 3.5? That'll leave you at the back of the temple if you're doing parikrama of the temple. So anyway, we do 4. We'll just keep it simple. And so we do 4. And this way, this is like the Vaishnava way. But this is as given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Guru Maharaj, Gurudev. So this also we can say, because in other places maybe doing 3 times. And about parikrama of Tulasi, then in our former life, means in ISKCON, then they were chanting Yani Kani Chapapani, this also step by step while going around Tulasi, so many sins are cleared away, etc. But when we came to Navadvip, to Chaitanya Saraswat Mat of Guru Maharaj, then we found, oh, they're not chanting this. They're chanting this Namo Namo Tulasi Maharani, Vrinde Maharani, this song, which is like pure glorification of bhakti, of devotion. And the Tulasi Devi can give devotion. So again, subtle things, but little changes and little ideas, I mean, little changes in conception that we've come when we've come to Guru Maharaj and come to Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, that we're not doing anything as a business. We're doing everything only for devotion. And if you want to give me anything, please just give me more capacity and opportunity to render service. This idea. So doing parikrama, we are doing 4 times. And no upper limit. You can do parikrama. Like chanting japa. You can chant japa. There's no upper limit. And in Navadvip, the parikrama can be very long if you go around everywhere. And for 1 or 2 days, the beginning of Kartik is one of the times in the year, the beginning of, anyway, other different occasions at Gaura Purnima time, then like the first day, then we'll do parikrama of the whole of the samadhis now, Gurudev's Bhajan Kutir, and the temple, Gurudev's Bhajan Kutir, Guru Maharaj's Bhajan Kutir, all the way around, then out of the gate opposite the deity, across to Govinda Kund, parikrama of Govinda Kund, Sadashiva, Shiva, and Giriraj, all the way back around, and then back inside and around, and then in front of the deity. Now, if you do that 4 times, you'll definitely be doing, if you do that 4 times on Ekādaśī, you'll definitely be doing some extra parikrama and seva for Ekādaśī, because that'll take quite a while to do that 4 times round. And I'm wondering what songs you will sing. You can practically have your morning program while doing that. So time, place, and circumstance. They'll do. I've actually been there when they've done 4 times that parikrama. It's a long time. But rarely, I think in the very beginning, they did 4 times. But otherwise doing once, like Govardhan parikrama. It's not even practical or possible, I don't think, to go around Govardhan Hill 4 times in one day. Once is a challenge for most of the devotees. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, now you got me talking again, but we wanted to ask you to speak. Okay, so I'm going to make a note with pen and paper for next week, for the next time rather, that let us come together. Please, you bring something in your pocket that's inspired you from your reading, your hearing, your practicing, your week of service, your days of service between now and the next gathering. Please all bring something in your pocket and share with us. Because we are together, we want to share. And when we're together in the temples, wherever we are, we're also wanting to share and not, sometimes maybe I talk all the time, but we're trying not to talk all the time.
And Maharaj, you have showers of pranams on Facebook.
Oh my goodness, I have Facebook open, but I didn't look, I'm sorry. Facebook, Madhava Prabhu, and Sevarupa Devidasi is with us happily from the Sevarupa Devidasi of Mexico is with us happily. And Divya Shakti Devi, she's with us. Tunga Rasa Devi in Norway is with us. And maybe others who I'm not, Narayani, Dandavatan Jagamohini Devidasi. To each of you on Facebook, to each of you on Zoom, and to each of you who will see the recording presently on Facebook or wherever it may be, then, to all of you, our heart goes out. We here as the family together with one destination, one purpose, one journey, one path, one channel. And so let us have that unity in diversity, the unity of the journey home, back to Godhead. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And all these wonderful expressions that are so familiar, that have come from our family of Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. So to our wonderful family, Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rokka, Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, our Sri Rupanuga Guru Vaga ki jai, our family who are with us here, all the Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, and the present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Vrinda ki jai, Sannyasi Varga ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat devotees, and thank you to each of you for being here. And Narayani on Facebook just offered a flower. So may that prasadam flower scent reach all of you. Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudana Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, have wonderful days in Seva. Don't forget, every day is a festival in Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math for those who participate. So please participate every day and have a festival day by day till we meet again soon. And a reminder, we'll hear from you at the next gathering.
Thank you,
Ashchi.
Maharaj.